So here's the thing. Here's another thing about me. You found out that I like surfing, that I really like cigars. Something else, man, that's kind of weird is I like pirates. Like, I've just always been enamored. And it's more or less the swashbuckling, adventurous idea, open sea, chasing treasure. Not the historical killing people for ransom, just brutality. So gotta differentiate. More fantasy, adventurous type pirate, man. But through that, one thing that always came to mind, and speaking of treasure, man, this is a treasure. This is one of my favorites. You know, the other favorite that I told you tastes like a baseball glove, kind of has that leathery taste. The Vegas Cubanus, that's one of my favorites. But right beside that is this dog right here, the Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne. Now you get a chance to get one of these, that's a treasure. So here's my thought on treasure that I often share, and we'll share this treasure with y'all today. Good. Is what really is your treasure? Like, what do you treasure? It's easy to say, man, I treasure my family, I treasure my friends. And if you watch some of my videos, you treasure some of your memories, memory making. And they're building something again. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Might be building a treasure chest. I don't know. So, I was taught a long time ago something that I've never forgotten. And it has been true so many times. And I wanted to share it with you guys. I share it with young adults and the college students. Because, man, listen, they're really at the beginning of the next phase of life. And I always wanted to share some things that I just felt like, hey, man, this is something that you ought to know, that I wish I'd known when I was your age, when I was younger. And this one has to do with the reality of people and the reality of your relationships. Y'all know that I'm all about being relational. It's just smooth, very smooth. Very smooth cigar. So anyway, all about being relational. And in that, we're humans. You know, who do you trust? How can you trust them? And this was something that I learned from a mentor of mine so many years ago. And it's always stuck with me. And it's always been true. He said, Matt, if you want to know the truth about anybody, and especially yourself, if you want to know the truth about yourself, find out in honesty, no fudge factor, no putting the icing on the top, where do you spend your time and your money? That's really what's the treasure of your soul and your life. Because see, we can even fool ourselves. I'm guilty of it. We can fool ourselves about what really is the treasure of my life. What do I treasure most, and where am I chasing that, and what do I live out the actions of my life from that treasure? We can fool ourselves to what we think our treasure is or what we want our treasure to be, and we can blur the lines on those, but when it comes down to it, where we spend our time and our money calls us out. Like, I could say, yes, I love my son, I love my wife, and I put them before anything, and I love Jesus. But if my time says I'm on social media all the time, I'm on my phone all the time, I'm chasing money all the time, I'm chasing a career all the time, I'm putting all these, and I know, listen, Matt, Part of the human experience is you got to have those. You do absolutely have to have those things. But where you spend the majority of your time, your effort, and your money tells a lot about who we actually really are. And I know nobody likes to hear any religious person, any minister especially, ever say a thing about money. That's just been in our culture, is don't bring it up, don't say it. People get offended. It ought to be all free. I have my own thoughts on all that. Like, God's given you and blessed you, you ought to be able to give out of that from a heart of wanting to give back, because God don't have to bless you with any type of financial anything. But that's different thoughts for different people. I'll share a bigger thought on that in a video later on. But if you want to know the truth of a man's heart or a woman's heart, find out the honesty of where they spend their time and their money. Not necessarily what they're saying, not how they're fooling themselves. We all do it. But what's the reality? And that'll call you out, man. Because sometimes when we look at that ourselves and we say, if we take that honestly, and I tell the college students this, man, for the rest of your life, take inventory, whether it's quarterly, whether it's monthly, and say, all right, let's look at where I'm budgeting my time. How much time am I spending on screens? You could look at that and say, hey, this is how much screen time I have. You can look at your bank account. You can look at your debit statements. Okay, where am I spending my money? Is this where I want my life to go? Is this what I'm treasuring? Because we can think one thing, but be doing a whole nother thing. And I think that is the facade, the placebo of life that we're living out. So many people, and they start that in their young adulthood years because we all learn kind of to lie to ourselves to buffer what we're doing. And the word, man, God gives us honesty, truth, and love to call us out for the purpose of having the life that He created for us. And He says, listen, if I am your treasure, you're going to have a much better life. If my word is the treasure you hide in your heart, your life's going to be what it was created and designed to be. And we make excuses and we go through the motions. We play Christian games and we get saved and we regurgitate a bunch of scripture and verses and stories. But then when it comes down to the reality of our lives, it doesn't match up. I'm just being honest. And when you tell a young man and a young woman that, and they start doing that, man, the needle starts to turn to the reality of life, to where they're like, that called me out into some reality that I want to change. And some of us at my age wish I'd heard that, but it's never too late to change some of that, man. It's never too late to say, all right, I'm going to make that a habit. I'm going to allow God to call me out on that one. Where do I spend my time and my money? And I'm not saying it's all wrong. I'm not at all, but to be able to take inventory and for it to match up. What am I saying and thinking? What am I actually doing? You want to know the reality of humans, especially in today's world? Where they spend their time, where they spend their money, and where they spend the majority of their effort. Just talked to a large group of students last night about this, and I wish you could have heard the conversations. It was all over the map, and it was awesome. And when I brought down the analogy of, think of yourself as an adventurous movie-type pirate, and you're chasing the treasures of life, what honestly, right now, is the treasure of your life? Don't just say it's your family. Don't just say it's your education. Don't just say it's your sport. And don't just say it's your faith. Do the actions match that? So when I say what is the absolute treasure of your life, what are the actions saying? And that was some good conversation. That got deep quick. And we've established a deep enough relationship that it was honest conversation. And that was awesome, y'all. It was awesome. And I wish I could have some of those conversations with older people who almost feel embarrassed that it doesn't match up, instead of just being like, man, you know what? It calls me out. I want to make a difference in those situations. It's what God does. He can reroute at any time. Reroute your ship to set forth a new course for the treasures that matter most. So, man, I wanted to challenge you with that and give you the verse that I gave them last night. This is a good one to remember. Good memory verse. Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Not what you're saying, but where your actual treasure is, there your heart will be also. I've been guilty. I'm still guilty at times. But man, I want to chase God's treasures like an adventurous pirate. Just finding those relationships that enrich my relationship with Him. Finding those moments and those memories that just make me closer to Him, and then closer to my family and closer to my friends, and spend my time, even if it's smaller in length, that the quality and the depth around a campfire and telling stories and sharing life and taking photos with one of these is just rich with treasure. I want that to be where my heart's at, is in my relationship with Him, myself, and with others. And it's not all the time. I'm just as guilty as you, but if we don't get as honest as we can, if I don't get as honest as I can to say, where do I honestly spend my time and my money, and where's all the effort going? Is it just chasing? And I excuse things. I justify things. Maybe you need to hear that too. I don't know. But I justify I need to be this situation financially so that I can do this. And man, a lot of that's true. But some of it's not. Some of it's not. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on that today. Man, had a great meeting last night with the college kids. It was the last one of the semester. Be in prayer for them. Pray for the next generation, man. A lot of people give them a bad rap, but I get to work with them. I'm in the trenches with them all the time, and I can tell you, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited that there are young men and young women who want to get deeper in reality with Jesus Christ and not play church. But the reality of their relational living will ripple into their legacy for generations. And I told them, I was like, guys, I love being on the front line of hell with water pistols with you all, because y'all aren't scared. Y'all aren't scared for this battle. You're not scared of the truth. You listen to hard truth because I love you enough to share truth with you, and you take it in as a seed and you let it grow. Man, I'm telling you, there's some leaders that are coming up for the kingdom, and I love watching it. I love being part of it. And I'm asking you to pray for them, pray for the next generation. But at the same time, man, they're looking to us, and they're looking at the reality of our actions. Like, that's one thing I can say about Caleb and his generations, man. They see through the BS really well. Really well. There's not a lot of pulling punches with them. It's truth and love, and that's what they want. And I love that about them. I love the conversations that I got to have with them last night, and some of them maybe the last time I see them, graduating, moving on, and it was a little emotional. I love those guys, man. I get close to them. We share life while they're here, real life. It's not just, we tell them it's not your mama's Bible study, and this ain't no Jesus pep rally. Like, we're doing it. We're getting after it. And we live that out with them. And that's one of their favorite talks is, what's the reality? What's your real treasure? Like, what's your real treasure that the actions of your life and your thoughts back up when you say, this is the treasure, and this is where my heart's at. This is where my life is centered at. And just from my experience, if it honestly isn't centered around God and His Word, and I don't mean that out of a ultra religious way. I mean that out of I believe He is the creator of all things, and He set the course of your purpose and the mission that you have in life. I believe that. Maybe I'm dumb enough, Forrest Gumped enough to be the only hillbilly that still believes that, back in the sticks. I'm okay with that, because here's what I know. Try to prove it wrong. Try to prove His Word wrong. Try to prove Him wrong. He ain't scared of that. He can handle that, because you end up proving it right time and time and time again. And the wisdom of His Word, man, will be your light on your path through seeking your treasures through the rest of your life. And how you seek your treasures and where your heart is going to ripple into your marriage and the next generation, how you raise your kids, how they raise their kids for generations to come. So if you are wondering or ever thought, man, what's my purpose? It's relationships with God Almighty, with yourself, and with others. But if you want to size that up and say, how am I doing? What's the honesty of your treasure? Does it match up? And I've told people, man, if you want a place to start and to always assess where you're at in your faith, every day serve, edify, and love. And I'll do a video. That's another whole talk, but there's accountability for our good. Sometimes people don't like accountability. Sometimes young people don't like accountability because it calls them out. Sometimes, especially older people, hate accountability. Kind of set in our ways, don't want anybody else to tell us what to do or how to do it. We want the fluff and people to agree with us. That doesn't get us anywhere. That doesn't move us into the ripples and the oceans that we need to experience to chase these treasures. So I would challenge you, and I challenge myself with this, is to check where your treasure is. What is your treasure? In reality, where are you spending your time, your money, and your effort? And also daily, who did you serve today, starting in your own home and then moving outward? Who did you edify? And that edification, we'll talk about that. It's not just buttering up or kissing somebody's rear end. Edification is not that. It's building one another up with truth and love for the betterment, with knowledge and wisdom. So who did you edify daily, and who did you honestly love? Like, man, I think me included, where you spend your time, your money, your effort, who do you serve, edify, and love? It's all relational. Relational every day with God, with yourself, with others. In every business, in every sports team, in every school, everything you can imagine is relational. So anyway, that was my thoughts. I was excited about last night. Wanted to put that in video form, share it with you guys. There's Buddy the squirrel. You listening, buddy? That's crazy. The thing just sits on the fence, eats what it's eating, and just kind of looks at me while I'm talking. I'm going to get y'all a video of him someday. So anyway, there's my thoughts for today. Where your treasure is, there's the reality of your heart as well. Chasing treasures in this world, the best ones you could chase are the best relationships that you could forge with God, yourself, and with others. And a great way to evaluate that is, where am I honestly spending my time, my money, my effort? If you want to size other people up, figure that out about them, and you'll know the truth about their heart as well. So anyway, I love you guys. I mean it. Love you enough to share some truth that challenges me. I want to challenge you with it too, because I feel like we're all in the same boat. And man, I'm telling you, if you only get to smoke a couple of cigars in your life, obviously let the Opus X be one of them. Let the Vegas Cubanas be one of them. But right there, equal with the Vegas Cubanas, is the Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne. Like this is a go-to. Absolute go-to. Love you guys. I mean it. Go make it a great day.